Hey everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Today we're going to be working with veneer again. Specifically, we're going to be doing this Super Strat project for my homeboy Jim Fuller. And he was the guy, remember, who had the double neck built for him? Well, now he wants a single neck version of the six string. And he wants it to be, some wood, and he wants there to be some binding and a cool sunburst finish. So I'm going to show you how we do a veneer top on this really nice chunk of alder here. So this is the piece of alder that we're going to use, and you'll notice that I have rough cut a little bit of it out so that I don't have to work with a gigantic hunk of material. This is the veneer that we're going to be using. Well, not this specific piece, but from this sheet. And this stuff came in like an 8-foot long roll, and it came from Veneer Supplies. And those people are really cool. Joe has lots and lots of stuff on his website to help you kind of get started in veneering and all the supplies that you need to do veneer. So he sent me out this stuff here, and I had to pay for it before anybody asks. This is super cool stuff. Now, one of the things that I have done up to this point is worked with material that was big enough to just cover the whole face. But this is actually going to be a book match, and I'm going to show you how you do it. So traditionally, a book match is done by cutting a chunk of wood and opening it up like a book and gluing it together, and then you have that cool pattern that's like almost like a mirror image right down the center line. That's a lot easier to do when you're working with 2-inch billet and you cut it in half and then carve the top. But since we're using veneer, it's a little bit trickier. You can't just run a sheet of veneer over the joiner and expect it to look good. But you do have to join the edge. So veneer generally comes, this is actually part of the piece that's going on to Jim's guitar. I've trimmed it down so that it's wide enough to go from the center to the edge and give me a little bit of overhang. Man, look at that stuff. That is just boss. What we're going to do though is we have to join this edge before we glue it down. I'm going to use a router to do that. There's lots of different ways that you can do this, and the router really isn't the the traditional tool. But I don't want to spend a lot of time monkeying around with a veneer saw and sharpening that, or using sandpaper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sandwich this between a couple of pieces of MDF and run my router across the edge, and that is going to work great. In fact, it's going to look a little bit like this. We're doing this one for Monkey's 5-string bass, and we tested the theory, and it works really good. So grab a Coke and grab some popcorn, and I'm going to show y'all how it's done. I don't know, I'm my own cameraman today, so who knows what the images are going to be like. I'm going to try and stop and kind of do this and give y'all a bird's eye view of what's happening. But so stay with me and hold all your questions till the end. All right, so here is my lower piece of MDF. Here is my my bits of veneer, and I have marked the edge that I want to use with those little pencil lines. So I want to make sure to get both of them. And what I'm going to do is I am going to sandwich the veneer on top of, in between these two hunks of MDF, and I'm just going to buzz my flush trim router bit right across the two. But I'm going to do a handful of things to make the process a little easier. So you only want to take a little bitty bit off of this, you know what I mean? You only just want to get a straight line. So, and you don't want to have too much sticking over. So what I like to do is kind of tape it down so that I have a nice even little bit here. Hey, and I don't know if you can see this. You see these cracks up here? Those aren't going to matter, and you'll see why in just a second. When you're working with veneer, it's quite a bit more fragile than even the quiltiest quilty maple or the flamiest flamy maple. But yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about this as we go, and I hope that I answer all of your questions while we do. So now I've got that lined up. I got my piece of flame maple just barely poking out and I'm going to clamp these two hunks of MDF together, and hopefully I'll be able to actually just buzz my router right across there. So let's get some clamps. Clamp it, Jed. All right, I got my trusty Porter cable that I leave with a flush trim bit, and it's got the bearing on the top. You could easily do this with the bearing on the bottom too. In fact, that might even be easier. We're just going to set it and do it. It's as simple as that. All right, now that we've got the edge here has been joined and smoothed, we want to kind of check it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get some tape, and I like to use this binding tape because it's so inexpensive. No. Actually, I like to use the binding tape because it's I don't know why I like to use the binding tape. Maybe it's just because I have it set up on one of these tape dispensers, and if you don't have a tape dispenser, well, you should get one because they really make life a lot easier. So we're going to just we're going to put this guy together, and we're actually going to tape it together as we go. What the hell is that? Little hunk of crap from my table. That's a bummer. All right, that's fine. Okay. Taping as we go. And I'm already seeing some areas where I'm not really thrilled with the joint, meaning that we probably want to go back and do this again because maybe I didn't get it. Maybe I just didn't get it enough of a cut. There's a few gaps here that are going to look like gaps when we put them on the guitar body. And it would be one thing if they were only at like where, say, the neck pocket was going to go or where the pickups were going to go. But, what if we spent a few seconds and just did this again and got it perfect, and that way we wouldn't have to worry about it. Right? All right, let's do this one more time. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's try it again. Get some hunks of orange tape ready and test it out. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tape this whole seam down so that it's easier to work with when I put it in the bag. And what's going to happen is I'm not going to join the veneers together with glue. I'm just going to let the vacuum suck glue into that seam, and it's going to work really, really well. Remember these little cracky bits? I'm going to tape them together too, because well, I can, and it'll just kind of keep everything together and make sure that it doesn't look like there's a crack. You know what I'm saying? I wanna play my guitar the only way I